Welcome to Irvington. There are a lot of interesting things that have happened in this town. Here are some facts. William H. Graham House, also known as the Stevenson Mansion, is a historic home located in Irvington Historic District. It was built in 1889. In the 1920s, D.C. Stevenson, head of the Ku Klux Klan, lived there. D.C. Stevenson was an American Ku Klux Klan leader, convicted rapist, and murderer. He had close relationships with numerous Indiana politicians, especially Governor Edward L. Jackson. Did you know Butler University was first founded in Irvington, Indiana? It is now a school called Irvington Preparatory Academy. Butler University was founded in 1855 as Northwestern Christian University, located in Irvington from 1875 to 1928. Most of the Butler buildings were razed prior to World War II, and the Irvington campus site became a residential neighborhood. After Butler relocated to the Indianapolis North Side in 1928, the library was part of the adjacent complex known as the Missions Building, which served as the national and international headquarters of the Christian Church. January 12, 1925, 29-year-old Madge Oberhopser met her neighbor D.C. Stevenson. He was a Grand Dragon of the Indiana Ku Klux Klan and had used his position to help elect a number of state candidates. Stevenson liked Madge that he employed her to work with him during a General Assembly session. She had to write a new textbook for Indiana schools. On March 15th, Stevenson called her house saying that he needed to discuss something important with her before he was leaving for a trip in Chicago. He asked her if she could come over to his house for a little bit before he leaves. When Madge got there, Stevenson gave her a lot of alcohol and told her he wanted her to go with him to Chicago. He then kidnapped her and forced her into his car with a couple others, and they drove to the Indianapolis Union Station, where they were boarded the train to Chicago. During the whole trip, Madge was raped multiple times and bitten by Stevenson. The next morning, Madge convinced him to let her go shopping by herself. While she was out, she bought some poison. She took it when she got back to the hotel that they were staying at. Stevenson and his men realized Madge looked very ill, so he made his aide and a driver put her in a car and drove her back home. Madge survived the poison but died from an infection caused by Stevenson's bites. Before she died on April 14th, Madge described her experience in a dying declaration that was used to convict Stevenson of manslaughter. D.C. Stevenson was then arrested, and he wasn't the leader of the Ku Klux Klan Club, and that all ended. H. Holmes was America's first serial killer during the 1800s. He was an American swindler and convinced trickster who is widely considered the country's first known serial killer. In 1886, Mudgett moved to Chicago and took a job as a pharmacist under the name Dr. H. Holmes. Soon afterward, he apparently began killing people in order to steal their property. The house he built for himself, which would become known as Murder Castle, was equipped with the secret passages, trapdoors, soundproof rooms, doors that could be locked from the outside, gas jets he used on his victims, and a kiln to cremate the bodies. Holmes did most of his work in Chicago, but when police began closing in, Holmes fled to Indianapolis and lived for a brief time in Irvington in a rented cottage on the 5800 block of Julian Avenue. This was the house he lived in when he fled to Irvington on Julian Avenue. Irvington is known to be a very close community, a small town, and a place with a lot of historical things. You can go past houses that look like this, and they have signs on the outside that tell you facts about the history that has happened.